What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Bennett and Mike Baker. This is the Mike B Tandem coming at you with another episode of the Apple Advisory. Today before MLK Day, I'm feeling good. How you doing over there, Mike?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed.
That's awesome, man. That's
Can't
awesome.
stress because I'm blessed, B.
Hey, guys, keep that same energy, man. Let me get some of that thoughts.
Yeah.
But
Send it to you.
yes. Right. But y'all know what we do, man. On these shows, man, we bring you all some righteous criticism and some definitely warranted rounds of applause for the tech industry and the good that's happening and the bad that's happening. But it's the 8th episode of the Apple Advisory. We want to jump straight into it. You know, we have 3 topics we want to bring to you all today. First one, no, the EU isn't asking Apple to kill the lightning cable. I got a couple things to say about that, man. But that's someone coming from Android land. That was something that was kind of hard to adjust to. But next we have family, and this is cool too. Next one, family again asked this for the second time. Asked Apple TV movie The Banker not to release, right?
Yeah.
And lastly, that's a story in itself. So we'll jump into that. And lastly,
I gotta see it. Yo.
We gotta see
allowed
it
to come out, man, because I want to
playing games. But the last one says two iPhones or the privacy of billions. Why Apple versus the FBI matters. So this is an ongoing issue that Apple is facing. I'm pretty sure that if you're in the slightest bit connected to Apple and the FBI, like what's going on right now, they're just asking. We'll jump in. We're gonna save it for when we get into it. But let's jump into this, man. We're talking about the lightning cable. So when people, if just in case you don't know, for any of the Apple users who were Apple users by force, that little thing that's at the bottom, as far as their plug is designated for Apple, is called a lightning cable, right? Mm-hmm. And there was some stuff going on a couple of years ago where the EU was petitioning Apple to change its ways, like to make it more general, so you don't have to. And my theory on this is this, that I feel that Apple has developed it's different. It's not really required for all technology, right? But the way that they have this lightning cable thing set up is a way to designate Apple for like Apple products only. You can have a USB cable. You can use it for multiple things, right? Like I can use my PS4's like charging cable on something else that fits that. But it always seems like Apple has this thing with the lightning cable and the plug that you can only if you have an Apple device, you can only use Apple chargers and Apple plugs. So what's happening here is that there was some time ago where the EU was like pushing for Apple to ban that. But if I read this correctly, I want to make sure I get everything correct with this. But yeah, that's what it was pushing.
It wasn't to ban it so much, but to standardize it where they weren't continuously coming out with new models of their proprietary cables. Where what happened with the lightning cable, they ended up having to they made the new cable, and then everybody ended up having to throw out the old cables because they weren't useful anymore.
And that caused deal. So because I remember several times in the past. So yeah, that's what I a little bit off about that. But pretty much just changing. They were petitioning Apple to change their ways. But so there was some confusion that came out where they thought that based on some statements that were being made, they were still kind of bringing that back up. But that wasn't the case. They were saying that they wanted Apple to now just focus on just standardizing their chargers. Mm-hmm. Right, so the lightning cable, as far they I feel like they may have conceded defeat in that battle per se, as far as I'm like getting rid of or standardizing it across the board. But they're saying now that they at least want them to standardize the chargers. So I feel that there's a whole lot of janky things when it comes to that, man, and it seems like it's a small thing, but the reason why I feel that I think I can feel the EU's pain with that is, as a consumer, it almost seems like how they design their plugs, their smaller things, they design it in such a way where it breaks easily or wears out easily, so you have to buy it again. Like I have it on the I have an iPhone. I have an XS Max, and the way that I have to listen to my music on there through my headphones, I have to buy a Lightning to headphone cable. And
Yeah.
it seems like every literally, man, every 2 to 3 weeks, man, that thing wears out and it dies. And
Mhm.
because you can only buy that type of I think they may have some other ones here, like some off brands, but like they don't you buy them broke. But but it seems like you can only get the ones that work for a little bit of time from Apple, and it costs like $10-15 a pop every time. So maybe I guess more on I don't know why it's the complete, the EU just calling for this, but 'cause that's much grander than what I would think as far as who will be dealing with Apple. But
Yeah.
they I can kind of feel where they're coming from, because maybe with enough complaints from end users, they're like, man, all right, this is getting it's getting out of hand. It almost seems like Apple is recouping all of their they stand in the black, or even getting seriously profitable just from the fixes and the smaller things you got to buy with the lightning cables all the time and the chargers and stuff. So
They were saying on here that that one of the issues that it was because of the e-waste that it was building up to 51,000 metric ton of e-waste a year, and that was just with discarded chargers. I mean, and I mean, based on that, I don't think they talking about just Apple in that scenario. Because I figure they got to be talking about everybody if they're talking about 51,000 megatons.
well, you never
I
know,
mean,
man.
just in Europe. I mean, unless they even like separate all the Apple chargers from the rest of the chargers, but at least Apple, when it comes to the chargers, like they got some type of synergy going on where like the old Apple charger kinda at least works with the new one. If you want that fast charging, um, then yeah, it might you might need to get the newer charger. But if nonetheless, if it'll at least charge normally, and that might now like at least fix that gap. But like you go in the Android world, it's it's charger city. I mean, you don't know what type of charger you're gonna get. Every type of phone, being the fact that like Android used to have, I don't know about now, but it used to be at one point where there was like 400 different Android phones, um, like 400 different types, and like that's a charge for each type, and each type, each company is going to come out with their own version of a standard. And what they trying to do, what the EU is trying to do at least, is just get some type of sense of normalcy. I'm picking my hair if y'all watching the video, it's craziness. But they try and get some normalcy of some standardization when it comes to these charges. And more than likely they want to do it because, you know, USB in itself can be just the charger type, and they can mess around and just create, jacks that, fit into your wall that works off of USB if they can come up with a standard. I mean, instead of even having to do the charger jacks, they can just make USB adapters. And you go, like they have them now. You go to Home Depot and you want to buy a jack that will work with like USB, so that you can plug in electrical device, but then you can also plug in some USB adapters directly into it. I mean, they have that available for you now, but it's not standardized. And they come up with a version, and different volt types. You get the wrong voltage on the wrong type of phone, you end up burning out the whole phone. So like they want
Yeah.
to be able to come up with a standard so that they can potentially build this into utility on a regular basis, so that when they start building buildings out and stuff like that, homes and whatnot, they can just put USB in it, so that you can just charge your device any way you need to normally charge your device, without having all these different standard types where this type of phone takes this type of charge, and you can't put this type of charge and type of into this one because you could burn it out, or another one where the battery just won't charge at all because it doesn't meet the minimum voltage requirements or whatever. Yeah, I mean, like they want to be able to try to get some type of standardization with that, along with resolving this whole e-waste issue. And I think Apple is mostly just taking the bulk of it because if something has to change, Apple's going to be one of those companies that's going to have to. If something has to change in regulation, then Apple's going to be one of those companies that's going to see a negative from it because of the fact that they got so much with proprietary platforms that they're gonna have to actually try to work with the rest of the industry. They can't if they make it where it's regulated, where electrical sockets and chargers have to meet some type of standard, they're going to have to actually participate in that standard, and they're not going to be able to be an independent company like they usually are, where they get to do their own thing the way they want to do it.
Right. I mean, I've suffered, from these issues of, having a charge. So you're thinking that I have a higher voltage in the charger, so therefore the charge faster. But like you said, ends up burning stuff out, and now I'm sitting here like, why is my phone not charged? It's because you've been putting all this high, you burnt out the cells in a way it can't charge now, or the
Yeah, using
opposite
that cheap
end.
ass charger you got from the 7-Eleven, like, yeah, you get caught up. You get that gas station charger, it ain't gonna work the same.
That now you're trying all jank. You got to hold it a certain way for it to charge. That's the reason why, man. Is that because there's so much issues around, and the reason why this is even a thing is because the chargers, what I found, they're not built to last a long period of time from the factory,
Hmm.
like from the people that make the chargers, like Apple. They don't make chargers to last, and whether it be the
Right.
cord that starts to gets worn or something like that, or maybe the something breaks in it. It's one of those things where it's kind of like they look at, from what I feel, they're able to nickel and dime the consumer, from making purposely faulty equipment that has to be replaced all the time, and it's hurting the EU, like you said, with these 50 megatons of charger waste, as well as constantly digging in the pockets of the consumer for everyday usage. So it seems, it seems like something that's like a petty type of thing, but actually it's pretty big because we depend on our cell phones a lot, and if you don't have any charge, man, then you're pretty much ass out nowadays if
Yeah,
you don't have a phone.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
You
Because
don't
I
have
don't
you don't
remember
have
the numbers.
you lose access to the internet. You basically just got pulled back to 1990 real quick,
Oh
like out of
man,
nowhere. You just get pulled right back to 1990 living,
and
and
that is not a good feeling.
yeah, I mean, it's if you're able to adapt, you're able to adapt. But for some of these new generations that never came up without a cell phone,
Bro,
they start going into like
panic
addiction
mode.
fits.
Yeah.
And like, I need that hit. I need that Facebook hit. I need to. You just start seeing them flick their thumbs for no reason. It's just,
Right.
I mean, just trying to imagine a cell phone in their
It gets crazy. It gets crazy.
hand.
But man, let's jump into the next topic, man. This one actually I find uh quite interesting versus all the other things we were talking about. And the reason why is because with this movie, The Banker. So the topic we're going over now, since family again asked Apple TV Plus movie, The Banker, not to be released, not see release. I don't know why they worded it that way, but
Yeah.
so what's going on here is we did an article maybe about back in November sometime
Hmm.
where it was talking about how they pushed the release of The Banker back, and I can't remember exactly why, but my reasoning is what I was thinking. The underlying issue is that the portrayal of positive, strong black male figure, which I
So the
kind of
man was
talked to
putting us out, trying
you
to
know what
put
I
us
mean.
out, man.
Said that, but based on further research, we found out that that's not actually the case. That wasn't actually the case then.
Yeah, that
Um,
article didn't even like it. The other one didn't even say why.
yeah,
It was just like this is happening, and it left a lot open for speculation.
right, right. I think we may have from the discussion of something that we kind of pulled from the fact that something with the platform and yeah, it still wasn't clear. But in this article, they make it clear why it's getting pushed back again. So the issue here is that they're saying that the son of the main character that's being portrayed got caught up in some sexual abuse case, right? And it happened about a week before it was going to be released. And this is why it's a hard hit because this is a week before it was supposed to be released, and just based on the actors that are involved. With Sam L and I always forget the other guy's name, man. He's an excellent actor.
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. Like these guys are great actors, and you know, based on the story from what I've read about the gentleman that it's based off of, I think this is something that is really it'll be a big hit and it actually do really good for it being on Apple TV's platform. But based on what happened, they're saying that because the young man, the son, got caught up in some type of sexual scandal, they got pushed back, and they also is hinting here about the ex-wives and some more baby mama drama.
Mhm.
Saying that it's not a positive, it's not a accurate portrayal of the gentleman's life based on what the attorney, I think Linda Garrett's attorney, was saying, and saying that of course they
Yeah.
painted a picture saying that it could be harmful to the family, so they pushed it back once again and they've been forced to readjust and make the I think they said that the new date now will be in sometime in March, and that they are now forced to put in the beginning of the story of the movie that's based on true events rather than being an exact portrayal.
Yeah.
So again,
Disclaimer.
it's just it's one of those things where I don't want this movie to kind of. So what happens is be it that I play a lot of video games. You can probably feel me with this, Mike, but you have certain games. Like I say Final Fantasy, for example.
Yeah.
They flirt with us with a release or something, right? And get everybody hyped, and then it has to be pushed back again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Then you flirt with them
Yeah.
again, saying, "All right, this year is going to be coming out." Then it's like, you got to push it back again. After a while, that kind of hurts not only the brand, but then what what could potentially come from the opening day, or just that when the game finally lands. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know what you would call that principle, but it's the same thing I see this happening here, where they have a great product. I think this is an excellent movie that just based on what I've seen, and the fact that it's constantly being pushed back over and over, it's not only hurting the family per se, and then just overall what they wanted to do with the movie, but it's not really going to be as effective in helping the Apple TV brand out because of all of the craziness that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. He has. I mean, apparently they were saying that, like, with his ex-wives, saying that it's based on stolen and distorted history, or stories that is not really truthful. Like, the guys that actually did the research on it, they were saying that, like, none of this, actually, the story itself doesn't really happen during the time of uh, either of the main character, Bernard Garrett Senior. Um, it This all happens before he ever got married. So, like, the whole story itself doesn't really have anything to do with the wives, the children, or anything. The main reason that they had to hold up for his son, Bernard Garrett Jr., was because he was in the credits, and they wanted to vet him before they actually release it because of the credits. But now with the wives, like, they don't actually have. I mean, they may also be in the credits. I don't know necessarily, but
I don't know why,
um,
but
their stories don't actually. But they're not in the movie itself. Like, it's before them. It's really about Garrett and his homeboy, the guy that he started with, Joe Morris, who's played by Samuel L. Jackson. Um, those are the two. I mean, it's really just about them and the guy that helped them, the white guy that helped them actually get the business going. Um, they had a quote on here. They have two quotes on here. I'll read them. One of them is actually from Apple. The first one, it says, "Though we have no way of knowing that what may have transpired between Mr. Garrett's children in the '70s, including the allegations of abuse we have recently been made aware of, our hearts go out to any who have suffered. The film itself is not based on a recollection of any of Bernard Garrett Sr.'s children, but rather on recorded interviews with Bernard Garrett Sr. himself. And we stand, I guess this must be from, oh, this is actually from the filmmakers. He's saying, we stand by the film and its positive message of empowerment. And from Apple, they're saying, we created Apple TV as a home for stories that matter. That's the spiel. But
yeah, yeah,
they also say, like, we believe the banker inspired by the brave actions of Bernard Senior Garrett and Joe Morris, two African American businessmen who brought about positive social change, is one of those stories. Meaning that it's an uplifting story, it's a story of empowerment. Um,
Mhm.
those, I mean, it's got to come out. They're presenting, like you said, they're presenting. bring this. They're expected to bring this out March 6th in theaters if nothing else holds it up, and then it'll actually release on Apple TV in March 20. I don't have Apple TV, so I would go. I mean, at this point, I think maybe part of it might be that they building up hype for it. Because now I'm just thinking about it. Because now I was saying I might go to the theaters to see it. More than likely, they might just be building hype up for it to get people to go to the
You
theaters
really
to
think
see it.
so?
Because not everybody has Apple TV. You can only get Apple TV on an Apple product right now. I mean,
Mm.
so like if you don't have an Apple TV box, well, this is Apple TV Plus. So I
Right.
guess yeah. So you got to have an Apple TV box to get Apple TV Plus. And if you don't have it, then your best bet to even go see this is going through the theater. And I guess this is more like fluff. I mean, I'm sure the family has legitimate issues and points that they brought about. It's
Mm.
some intricate situation, but um, it also doesn't hurt their marketing to be able to push this out if they're going to prolong it. I haven't really seen any like commercials or anything about it coming
Yeah,
out
I
in
haven't seen the
theaters.
commercial. Yeah.
So I mean, so like this is a way to sort of get the juices rolling, get people ready for it.
I think that we live in a time where I guess promotion and stuff like that on the internet is so we're not traditionally like advertising things like how we used to with the just like on TV
Hmm.
commercials and stuff like that. We do it based on like virility
Right,
and like
right.
just buzz on the internet. So I don't know, I guess you could look at it like that, but it depends on how you interpret this thing, man. I think that it's one of those like when I heard that it was the ex-wife and the ex-wives that kind of had their 2 cents to say about this. I really feel that it's just some people are looking at how to get a lick. Like they're looking at this as a lick that can come up off,
Oh yeah,
and people just trying to do whatever they can to get their piece. And of course, that comes with people inserting their drama into it so they can have some story that probably spins off from it. So it could be, I don't know, man. We just have to wait and see. At the end of the day, it's somehow some way it's going to be found and watched, whether it be through the theaters, whether it be through your Apple TV Plus subscribers or whatever, or whether it be through Pirate Bay. Okay, it's going to
yeah.
get it's going you know what I mean. It's going to come out, and I mean,
Fire Stick.
right.
That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be through everybody's Amazon Fire Stick in like a couple hours after it come out on release.
Right, so,
Thanks to the Russians.
hey, Mother Russia.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean, as long as they're inspired by it, it's whatever, man. For real, for real. They already made their money. They said Apple bought the rights to the movie for 20 million. So the film producers, the makers, the actors, they already got their dough.
yeah, yeah,
Apple just gotta make their money off of it.
right. There you go. There you go. But I think we beat that one down to the ground. Let's jump into this last article, man. It says
Yep.
two iPhones or privacy to billions. Why Apple versus the FBI matters. I want to read a little excerpt uh, from the article just to kind of give some background on my points. It says that two iPhones have put Apple back into the FBI sights. The phones belong to a deceased Saudi national accused of fatally shooting three people at a Florida naval base in December. They could contain important information about his connections and motivation, but the phones are locked, and the FBI says it can't get in. It wants Apple's help to unlock the phones, but Apple was saying no, and it has its reasons, even at the risk of attracting mocking tweets from President Donald Trump. So, what
Yeah.
the thing I found out about that I just think is interesting about this is that whenever I think of these high ranking like government agencies, the FBI, CIA, talking about they can't break into technology. What we see from what's portrayed on these movies is that when you're dealing with organizations like this, they pretty much have the I guess the God's eye or the God's fix of this. That they can break into anything, they can get
30
access to whatever if
seconds.
they want. You know what I mean? Yeah, like 30, and to hear something like this where the FBI is saying they're trying to press Apple to open up these phones and they can't. It brings all types of questions into mind as far as well, one, it makes me question, I guess. I've always felt that Apple was just heavily they not I know for a fact they're heavily consumer driven,
Hmm.
but this may speak to the technological prowess of Apple, be it that an organization like the FBI can't break into a phone. It makes you think because there were articles we did before when we were talking about how Apple was trying to get into the government sector, right? As far as things that the
Right.
technology and stuff. And I just thought it was that was silly of them. But now that I'm looking at this article talking about the FBI can't break into a person's phone, the Apple has like, well, maybe they do have a little bit of a reason now that they're showing. This could be a play to show, why Apple could be a contender when it comes to government contracting and business with the government because, this is, or I guess on one end you could say this is a good showcasing of, what Apple can do when it comes to security.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then the other end of that too is that I think that it brings into question like what does this Apple really? Because if this is something that really, well, this is something that happened that this guy, the Saudi guy, was accused of shooting three people. It's like, well, what is Apple trying to prove by not giving access to this phone? Like, this is important stuff that they need to, to figure out about this guy. And they're like, nah, we ain't gonna do that. So it's all types of things going on here. As far as is that like a breach of like is this some type? Are they interfering with like government business, something like that? Like I don't know. I have a lot
Yeah.
of questions about this.
It's just because it's the way that they do the security. I mean, the security is like omni security, like the one method that they have for securing these phones is a universal method. I mean, so if they are able to break that universal method on this one phone, they essentially break it on all the phones. I mean,
Mm,
so like they don't want to give up that secret until it's out of date. Like they got they keep telling them security companies, like they tell the FBI, you can go to one of these security companies and get them to crack it and see if they can break it. And if they break it, then let us know and we'll fix the patch. You'll get into it for this time. You'll get into it for this moment, and then we'll fix the patch. I mean, but they want to kind of go through the channels. I mean, because they can't really break it themselves, because if they break it themselves, then that's a selling point for them. I mean,
mm,
that's one of the reasons that people get the iPhone, is because for as long as Apple will support that phone, it's going to be secure, and
secure.
at least coming with updates to ensure the security. Even if it does get broken into, they'll come out with an update in the next couple weeks and figure out how they broke into it and try to resolve it. But that's for the lifespan of the phone. Like if you got like an iPhone 7 or iPhone 6 that they no longer support, if you can't get updates on that phone anymore, then yeah, somebody probably can break into that iPhone, because you can't get updates anymore. So any new vulnerability or security that they figure out, it's going to be exposed to it because it's not getting any more new updates. But if you got an active phone, like you said, you got the Apple XS, you got the Max, I got the regular SX.
Mm,
Um, those are getting constantly updated and secured. So the security and encryption that they have on it, if some security company was to able to figure out how to break into it, they'll alert the public, because they got this whole, what they call, like 0-day exploits and whatnot. They got this
mm,
whole community that focuses on people that get into phones and are able to break encryption. They'll let the company know, they'll let Apple know, the FBI will get their access, and the security company will alert Apple so that they can lock it down for
there
future
we go. Right.
purposes.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Don't let this
like,
happen again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But Apple themselves can't be the ones to do that, because if Apple themselves break into it and say, "Hey, we got the key to get in there," then they're gonna lose all their market share, because every news
Everything.
article gonna come out, "Hey, Apple broke into your phone, and this is how you can do it." I mean,
Mm,
and like your security goes out the window at that point. At that point, you just got to choose. I mean, and a lot of people don't even really care to that point until it happens to them,
right.
until all their text messages are exposed, and I mean, their nudes are put up on social media and whatnot. They don't care. They be like, I don't care. I don't update my phone no way. But then when they get hacked, they be like, what happened? It was like, you
Right.
ain't update your phone.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, you should update
Those
your phone.
pesky updates.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you need to do. Put it on auto update and make sure it's charged at night. It'll do it on its own. I mean, but if Apple can't be the guys to do that, you can't tell the company themselves they got to be able to break. You got to give them the key to everybody's phone. To everybody that got an Apple phone, we got to give
Mm,
you the key, because it's like you can't make the key for this one phone without making it for every phone
for
that's
every
like it,
phone. Yeah,
because they clones.
that's
I
the.
mean, they clones of each
Mm.
other.
And that's where it gets a little bit dangerous because, if you have just one per, we have this thing at my job where we know that it's dangerous for there only to be like one gatekeeper, one style, like one method of like breaking into something because we work on enterprise applications,
Mm,
and it almost seems like Apple. They're in a weird position with this because Apple thrives. I feel like a part of their statement as what separates them, at least from times of old, is that they are the most secure, right?
right, right,
And by them having this issue where although it's I guess it's they have their reasons and it's pretty interesting that the FBI can't break into this phone or this has come up, but because they have I guess it's that one gatekeeper method of how they secure their phones, they've put themselves in a weird position where they are going up against or having to um, disregard the FBI's requests in order for the company to still maintain its a position of dominance, I guess, when it comes to security. So it's I think this just goes to show that Apple, at least within the next generation or whatever they have to do, have to look into another way possibly of securing their phones because this say it was more on a grander scale where somebody like stole like nuclear codes and then the guy got killed and it's only on this phone that he had like
right.
what are we gonna say nah we're not going to
And you know the
not gonna
sad
break out
part,
that.
like it can only be the pin numbers that they are not able to get into, because if it's the fingerprint reader, all they got to do is put their finger on it. If
Right,
it's the FaceTime, you do have to open your eye, but I mean, I'm assuming that they got the body.
right.
They can open the dude's eye up, get forensics to open his eye up, and you can put the face in front of him. So essentially, it got to be a pin number. So it got to be 4 digits that's keeping them from solving this great mystery. I mean,
Oh man.
at worst case scenario, it's 4 digits. So it got to be only 10,000 numbers because it's 4 digits. It got to be 9,999
Yeah,
options.
yeah.
I mean, so
But
like, so yeah, I mean, like, either get a robot to push in every option, or get one of them employees over there. FBI got some people laying around. They can just press the button till they figure it out all day, all night.
you
Got
can
10.
tell these permutations.
They're like, yeah, exactly. It's like it's 8 o'clock shift. I stopped at number 2,500. You continue on for 2,501. I mean, keep going till you figure it out. I mean, but like it's a 4 digit number that gotta be that's like holding them up. I mean, like figure that out, man. You ain't gotta come to Apple and be like, Apple, we need you to shut down. We need you to open up all these iPhones. I mean, even Trump got an iPhone, and that's how they got to bring it to him. Like, yo, if you give us the encryption, if we expose this, then Trump's phone is exposed. I mean, because he has an iPhone. If we expose this for this phone, then his phone has to be exposed. I guess they could take that as a security point. Don't know. I really care about Trump, but he is
Yeah,
the
I'm about to say
president, so I mean, he got some secrets on there that we got to hold it. Yeah, I mean, so at least that'll keep the
not a
FBI.
lot, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, because he tell most of the secrets.
Right.
But at least that would get like the FBI off their back and be like, "Yo, we can't do this. We just can't do this." I mean, go to somebody else that specializes in this, but it can't be us.
But specializes in entering all of these codes.
I mean, like we get. I mean, they probably one of the most like tested companies anyway for people that's trying to break into phones anyway. So like it's a whole bunch of companies that's making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, attempting to break into the phone anyway. So get one of them to do it and just call it a day.
Yeah, this is it's it gets weird, man. Like it's comical, and then it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Like, come on, FBI. I thought y'all was better than this.
Yeah, man.
I
Like
mean,
y'all the FBI, man.
yeah, they not though. They not better than that.
They too lazy to try all them permutations. Man.
Yeah, those movies be showing a fantastical version.
Right, man. Home wasn't
FBI
for
still
laziness.
using they still using manila folders over there.
All right. But yeah, man. That's pretty much what we what we got today, man. You got anything else you want to say,
Nah,
Mike?
man. Nah, man. I gotta do the same thing. The promotions, man. If y'all like this stuff, man, go ahead and like, share, comment, and number one is subscribe, man. If y'all, we're on all the podcasts. We're on all four of the major podcasting services. So, Apple, Google Music, Spotify, Stitcher. If you got one of those, go ahead and hop on these shows, man. This is Apple Advisor. We got three more. Uh, Go ahead, subscribe, man. We got some juice for y'all.
Definitely, man. I just echo Mike's words, man. That we do this for y'all. You catch us wherever if you Google uh, Apple Advisory and then podcast. You can find us on all of the primary podcast platforms. So go ahead and subscribe to our channels. Follow the movie. Be a part of the movement, man. We got a lot of great things coming your way as far as interviews, all different types of things we want to share with you all surrounding just Apple information and probably things in the future that you all can use in your everyday lives, man. But that's pretty much what we got. Again, I'll say it again. Right, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned. And this is the Apple Advisory. Mike Bennett, Mike Baker, signing out. Peace.
Peace.